Okay, just a quick disclaimer before the video starts. Yes, I know the season started last week, but this was all recorded before the Chiefs-Texans game. I just haven't had the time to edit the video, but better late than never. Enjoy the video. The 2020-21 NFL season starts on Thursday, so here are my predictions for the upcoming regular season, and in January, I'll make another video with my playoff predictions to see who I think will win Super Bowl 55. Let's go. AFC East. 4th, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins were actually pretty productive this offseason, drafting Tua Tagovailoa, Austin Jackson, and Noah Igbinoghene all in the first round. They've also added some decent veteran players like Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones, Jordan Howard, and Shaq Lawson. But a huge overhaul like this, and a broken hip from Tua Tagovailoa, is not an easy injury to recover from by any means. So if anything, this will at least take a few seasons to work out. They'll definitely get another top 10 pick in next year's draft for sure, but I think for Dolphins fans, it's going to be a nice, long, and hard season. 3rd, New York Jets. Where do I even begin with this team? This summer has been a complete and utter disaster. A few months ago, I thought the Jets could do the unthinkable and possibly win the division with Tom Brady in Tampa. But you traded away the most important player on your team, the wide receivers can't even catch a cold, and you went to lowest for the NFL draft and took a Whirlpool refrigerator in the first round. I love that fridge, but still. I think this team will definitely struggle this season, but the Dolphins I think have more problems to worry about, and the Jets will finish 3rd below 500 once again. 2nd, Buffalo Bills. The Bills over the past few years have been improving exponentially. Sean McDermott is turning this franchise around. They made the playoffs last year and completely blew the game against the Texans. That loss stung, and it's going to stick with them for a while. Just because Tom Brady's gone, by the way, doesn't mean the division is guaranteed, and I think this season it will be a big step backwards for the Bills, but not as bad as the Jets and Dolphins. The AFC East has the hardest schedule in the NFL, and if you think Josh Allen can handle the defenses of the Rams, Seahawks, Chiefs, Niners, then you're clearly drinking expired milk. 1st, New England Patriots. Strap yourselves in, guys. Even though Tom Brady finally left the division, Cam Newton is the best possible replacement. This year will be 12 consecutive seasons that this team wins the Bastard Division. There's more competition in the UConn women's basketball game, and those games were over before tip-off. Cam Newton was given up on by the Panthers, and those who think he's past it is absolutely nuts. Plus, with a defense that's finally championship caliber, there is no way the Patriots mess this up. AFC North. 4th, Cleveland Browns. The Browns are an absolute joke, and they're keeping that trend here in 2020. I mean, considering this past decade, you've had a winless season, numerous useless first-round picks, and a quarterback who eats Old Spice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Deep down inside, OBJ wants to leave. Jedrick Wills will be average at best against the Ravens and Steelers D-line, and your second-round pick is done for the year with a torn Achilles. Where is this delusion also, by the way, that the Browns are just going to suddenly compete again and win championships? Because it definitely isn't happening this season. 3rd, Cincinnati Bengals. I don't care how amazing of a season Joe Burrow had last year at LSU. Yeah, he didn't lose a game. Yeah, he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft, but he's going to struggle. The only downside of being the best player in the draft class is that you most likely go to a team. Look at someone like Sonny Michel. He wasn't near the top of the draft class, so the Patriots picked him up late, and he's a Super Bowl champion. So Burrow will struggle, but this season will be a step in the right direction, and I think 3rd in the division will be a decent season for the Bengals. 2nd, Pittsburgh Steelers. It is critical that Ben Roethlisberger stays healthy. Otherwise, it'll be another rough season for a guy who nearly died on the field. With an extra spot in the playoffs now, this has got the Steelers' name written all over it. Numerous seasons of finishing 7th in the conference will finally pay off, and the offensive trio of Big Ben, Juju, and James Conner will be a solid asset for the Pittsburgh offense. 1st, Baltimore Ravens. Last season, the world was introduced to Lamar Jackson, and boy was he good. He won NFL MVP and led the Ravens to an almost perfect season. Other players like Mark Ingram, Marquise Brown, Willie Snead, Mark Andrews, Matthew Judon, and even Justin Tucker had really good seasons. But for Ravens fans, you shouldn't be too worried about the regular seasons. I'm putting it out there, I don't think Lamar Jackson is a good playoff quarterback. The way teams play in the postseason is very different, and Lamar Jackson got completely shut down against the Titans. But I'll save that for the postseason video. So for now, 1st in the AFC North, another dominant season. AFC South. 4th, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are going to be one of those teams looking very closely at Trevor Lawrence this season. They traded Leonard Fournette, and Gardner Minshew, who had a few good games, is running the offense. Even though the Jaguars will probably finish near the bottom of the league, they do have potential for the next few years. DJ Chark had a solid season last year, and bringing in CJ Henderson and Kayvon Chason will be huge for a struggling Jags defense. 3rd, Indianapolis Colts. Colts fans are still shocked that Andrew Luck retired last year, and they've replaced him with a guy who might be making the same career choice in a few years. T.Y. Hilton isn't as good as he was a few years ago. The Colts have an average defense at best, but they do have some solid players like Marlon Mack, Xavier Rhodes, and Michael Pittman Jr. that could be difference makers, but I think it'll be a boring average season for the Colts under Phillip Rivers. Second, Houston Texans. The Texans are still trying to recover from the loss of DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona, but they do have a bright spot in Will Fuller. Look, Deshaun Watson is doing a phenomenal job under center, but he doesn't have the players to reach his full potential. J.J. Watt can't stay healthy, and their defense is going to be a major project, but they'll snag a wildcard spot this season with Deshaun Watson running for his life in the backfield trying to find an open receiver. First, Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill and this Titans team had a breakout season last year, and they're just getting started. Derrick Henry has transcended into one of the best running backs in the league, coming up clutch in most of their games last year. They just signed Jadeveon Clowney, who's still got a few years left in him, plus a solid O-line protecting a quarterback who's completely resurrected his career. The Titans will win the AFC South, and they're looking very good. AFC West. Fourth, Las Vegas Raiders. Regardless of whether they would stay in Oakland or come to Las Vegas like they did, the Raiders would still underperform. The worst part is, they're a decent team, but the AFC West is one of the toughest divisions in the league. John Gruden still believes in Derek Carr, who hasn't been himself since his injuries. The team is full of players who are all past their primes, and relocating isn't going to be an easy process. I mean, the fans in Oakland probably have already unfollowed you on Instagram by now. Third, Denver Broncos. I think Drew Lock's going to be a solid NFL quarterback, and the Broncos will definitely improve this season. Having an offense with so many weapons like Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Noah Fant will make Lock's job so much easier. And the Broncos do have a solid defense, but unfortunately before the season, they lost Von Miller, so I think third in this tough division is a good spot for them. Second, Los Angeles Chargers. Aside from the fact that San Diego residents still hate you, the Chargers are in for a good season. The time is finally here to move on from Phillip Rivers, and Justin Herbert is a great replacement. Having a great player from a reputable program alongside guys like Keenan Allen, Chris Harris Jr., and Joey Bosa make the Chargers a real threat in the NFL. Their season will be about as fire as their uniform, so I'm predicting a second-place finish, and I think Herbert will make his playoff debut in his rookie year. First, Kansas City Chiefs. This is the easiest one on the list. The Chiefs will easily win the division. Last year, Patrick Mahomes dislocated his kneecap in Week 4, which a lot of people don't remember. And then he came back a few weeks later, won the division, and won the Super Bowl. The good news for Chiefs fans also is that they barely lost anyone this offseason. We see a lot of times when a team wins a championship, they lose about half their guys, and the Chiefs lost no one. Andy Reid has established a loyal winning culture in Kansas City, and the Chiefs will have another phenomenal season with Patrick Mahomes under center. NFC East. Fourth, New York Giants. The Giants have had multiple consecutive horrible seasons, and those woes are going to continue. Daniel Jones was not the answer to your quarterback problems, as the Broncos will flourish with Drew Lock, who they got in the second round after you passed on him at 6th overall. Andrew Thomas, on the other hand, was a nice addition to the O-line, but they're still very weak and the defense needs a lot of help this season. Third, Washington football team. This team will have a season about as exciting as their name, quite simply, but they do have some promise in them. While I think Dwayne Haskins will be starting come Week 1, we might be seeing Alex Smith back under center this season after 2 seasons of fighting for his life after a gruesome leg injury. Adding Chase Young to the D-line was huge for the team that needs defensive help. Antonio Gandy-Golden was another good pickup in the draft, and he'll join a solid receiving corps with Terry McLaurin and Steve Sims Jr., but it will be a long, hard season for Washington, and I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Second, Philadelphia Eagles. Since stumbling their way through injuries to a Super Bowl title with a backup quarterback, the Eagles have looked pretty shaky since. Carson Wentz has yet to play a full healthy season, which is not what the Eagles expected, drafting him 2nd overall. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, could be a decent backup option in case Wentz goes down again. But the Eagles have bolstered their receiving corps nicely with Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and picking up Jalen Reagor in the draft. Along with 2 solid tight ends, an above-average defense, I think we'll see Philadelphia in the playoffs as a wild card. First, Dallas Cowboys. This season will be a big step forward for Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. During this offseason, he made some serious moves, hiring Mike McCarthy at head coach, who's always been good, signing some top-notch free agents like Everson Griffin, and actually being smart with your draft picks. CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs, Tyler Biadasz, Neville Gallimore, all extremely solid players who will make a name for themselves in this league. This is a team that can do some serious damage, and they will win the division. NFC North. Fourth, Chicago Bears. Matt Nagy, please, for your own dignity, move on from Mitch Trubisky. Yes, he was a great player in college, but he's come up to the NFL and is playing like Nathan Peterman. You've given him about 90-second chances, and you need a new quarterback. Bears fans are praying to God for someone like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields next season, and with an average at best performance in the NFL draft, things aren't going in the right direction for a team I thought could win the Super Bowl a few years ago. Cody Parkey wasn't the problem. It's Mitch Trubisky. Third, Detroit Lions. I gotta be honest, David Blough held his own pretty nicely after Matt Stafford went down last season, but you need Stafford to stay healthy in order to make the playoffs. You swung and missed last year on TJ Hawkinson, but Jeff Okudah is going to be an amazing quarterback in a few years. The Lions over the offseason added Adrian Peterson, Desmond Trufant, and Danny Amendola, who will all play key roles this season, but they will fall short of the postseason. Second, Minnesota Vikings. Okay, to be honest, this is a toss-up. Both the Vikings and the Packers are really good, but I think Green Bay have the edge, just by a bit. Kirk Cousins keeps proving all the haters wrong with his performances last season, plus key offensive threats like Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, and drafting Justin Jefferson was an absolute steal. What caused me to put the Vikings in second is their defense. This summer they've lost Everson Griffin, Xavier Rhodes, and Trey Waynes, and I don't think they'll fill the gaps, but Anthony Barr, newly added Yannick Ngakoue, and Harrison Smith will come up big for the Vikings in another wildcard season. First, Green Bay Packers. I think it's safe to say that Aaron Rodgers will be starting Week 1, but this could be the last season we see him in a Green Bay uniform, especially if they don't make a playoff run. Aaron Jones had a breakout year last season, as well as Devontae Adams, who basically caught every throw from Rodgers, but this season, Aaron Rodgers will have to throw to someone that's not named Devontae Adams because he's just going to get triple and quadruple covered every play. But the Packers still have an all-around solid team, and I think it's good enough to win the division. NFC South. Fourth, Carolina Panthers. Such a stupid move giving up on Cam Newton. He is such an incredible quarterback, and it was not time to move on. A solid draft highlighted by Derek Brown and Yetur Gross-Matos will both be key assets in a few years, but they need more players by their side. Teddy Bridgewater is going to struggle this season with an O-line about as helpful as Spirit Airlines. Christian McCaffrey will shine once again this season because there's no one else on this team capable of jack and it will be a painful season for the Panthers, probably getting a top 10 pick in the end. Third, Atlanta Falcons. Falcon fans have been put through the emotional ringer over the past few years, especially blowing a 25-point lead in Super Bowl 51. But underperforming seasons, average draft selections, and stagnant off seasons, the Falcons are finally starting to pick up the pieces and move forward. This past offseason, the Falcons had an unbelievable draft, selecting A.J. Terrell, Marlon Davidson, and Jalen Hawkins. The Falcons also signed Hayden Hurst, Dante Fowler Jr., and Todd Gurley over the past few months. Not to mention they still have Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, who are so consistent like a straight line. The Falcons will look good in their new uniforms, but they'll miss the playoffs. Second, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I honestly don't really care that the Bucs got Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. This team went through a total overhaul this offseason, and they have tons of chemistry issues already. We saw this with the Browns. Where's this delusion that they're going to automatically win a Super Bowl? But the level of talent on this team will carry them into the playoffs. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Leonard Fournette will make Tom Brady's job easier, and they have a very solid O-line and above-average defense. It's not great, but it will get the job done. I think the Bucs will make the playoffs, but let's see how Brady plays on the road when it matters most, and let's see if they could be the first team to play at home in the Super Bowl. First, New Orleans Saints. Guys, this team is incredible, and they stay consistently good every season. Drew Brees and Sean Payton are one of the greatest quarterback-coach duos ever, and their offense keeps getting better. Michael Thomas had an unbelievable season, as well as Alvin Kamara. They landed Emmanuel Sanders this offseason from the 49ers, and Taysom Hill is the greatest utility man in NFL history. I mean, the dude can play literally anywhere. Plus, a strong defense led by Cameron Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, and Demario Davis, the Saints are going to be a real threat this season. NFC West. Fourth, Los Angeles Rams. This will be a massive step backwards once again for the LA Rams. This might be an insane shout, but if this result does happen, Sean McVay is without a doubt getting fired. After a dominant 2018-19 season, the Rams made it all the way to Super Bowl 53 and put up one of the worst performances in a game that was about as exciting as watching paint dry with a Maroon 5 concert in between. But Jared Goff hasn't looked right since that game. Cooper Kupp's injury woes continue to occur, and even with Jalen Ramsey, your defense is average at best. For a team where Johnny Hekker is one of the stars, a fourth-place finish, but with a decent record. third, Arizona Cardinals. This might also be an insane shout, but I think the Cardinals will have a really productive season. Kyler Murray showed a lot of promise in his rookie year, and now he'll have another weapon to throw to. With Larry Fitz and now DeAndre Hopkins at your disposal, Kenny Drake is on the come up, and a solid O-line and defense, the Cardinals are in for a pretty good season. Second, San Francisco 49ers. This is probably the biggest toss-up, but the Niners do not have momentum on their side. After an incredible season, the Niners choked away the Super Bowl title, and this season, they'll face a Super Bowl hangover, losing some games they probably shouldn't. Jimmy G will still be an amazing quarterback, George Kittle will have an amazing season, as will Deebo Samuel. The Niners will indeed make the playoffs, but I think they'll struggle a bit. First, Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll has got himself another amazing team. I am a firm believer in Russell Wilson, and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Last season, the Seahawks took a chance on DK Metcalf in the second round, and he turned out to be amazing. Also, not to mention they acquired the best safety in the league. Sake, Jets. But with a powerful offense and a big hitting defense, the Seahawks will make a case for a Super Bowl title, and they'll definitely win the NFC West. Alright guys, that's going to be it for my NFL predictions. If you haven't checked out my Premier League or Championship predictions, I'll link both videos down in the description. In January, I'll make another video reacting to these predictions, as well as make another video of a playoff predictions video. And obviously after Super Bowl 55, I'll react to my playoff predictions in another video. So anyways, hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Thank you all for watching. Remember to subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you guys later.